Start out with the mic check. 1 2 1 2. Just vibing. I'm going to start out with an old video I did on Ukraine while I do an audio check here. What's good? Osiris here. Live September 30th. Hell of a day. Oh, Russia, why don't you just join our housing association? But in order for Russia to join, they would have to change their whole form of government. Your defense, if you're in NATO, the money you spend on defense has to be under a dictatorship type of or authoritarian type of thing. But you could argue some of the countries in NATO they're just a pretend democracy, but they couldn't be in it. What made Russia lose trust? There were verbal commitments back with the father Bush, George H.W. Bush, and his Secretary of State, James Baker. They said, hey, we're going to sign this treaty and we're not going to expand NATO. Boris Yeltsin actually was talking about Russia joining NATO. I don't know if that was real or not. I'd have to look into that, but he was talking about Russia joining it. But he had reservations because he was like, you guys are still expanding NATO, so I don't trust you. So why did Yeltsin think that NATO had committed itself to not extend beyond its 1990 limits? It's because they got a verbal commitment from Baker. And it was said in speeches as well. There was nothing ever put in print, though. But that's irrelevant because Russia expected and they were under the understanding that this was going to be the deal. So it doesn't matter if it was in print or not, or if Russia should have thought that or shouldn't. They did. And instead, hopefully you can see this map if you're watching the video. This map is a great map, and it's showing you over time how NATO expanded east towards Russia. After World War II, you had the countries in dark blue that were in NATO. Then as we go into the 1990s, you see Spain became a part of it, Germany, Eastern Germany, So we're going east of Berlin, where there was the verbal commitment that we wouldn't. Turkey came into it. So you're basically surrounding the whole wall on the western side of Russia. Then all these other smaller countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland. And remember, if you have beef with any one of these countries, we all go down, including you, your sons and daughters, relatives that would be fighting potentially. So NATO was clearly threatening Russia. I know you can call NATO a peace-loving thing and we're there for peace, but if Russia's not a part of NATO and it keeps going east, and it says if a bullet flies from Russia, we all go down, you could have a random skirmish that could cause people to justify invading Russia. And Russia is a vast land. So you can come up in Russia and not really have to fight in all those areas. It's a big threat because it's not like all that border is heavily populated cities. That's basically how Russia came into Ukraine right now with peacemakers. I love that. Everybody's labeling something the opposite of what it is. Putin said, we're sending in peacemakers. You mean an army? Come on, bro. Like this, stop with this. These people are playing so many games, but you see, this is real life. Imagine you're playing Risk. The person you're playing against said, I'm not, those areas that the previous Germany had occupied, we're not going to take them over and put them into our NATO group. And then as time goes on, you're like, oh, you know what? We'll take this one. Oh, we'll take this one. And you're like, wait, Russia at some point is like, wait, what? I thought what's going on? Even if there wasn't an agreement, it doesn't matter. This is threatening from Russia's standpoint. It's weird. The American media is always trying to taint things one way or another. But Russia, the reason.
So I just wanted to do a sound check, start out with the video, because I think that was back. I was looking for the date of it. I believe I did that back in February. I believe that video was in February. And here we are now. I'm here on the live. Shout out. Thanks for stopping by on the live at Mountain Time, 10:17 p.m. Looking for people who are sane in the world. Are there any more sane people in the world? Well, I will say it's been a crazy day. There are some sane people in the world. Look what just came in. Look what just got. It came in yesterday, actually. Yes, sir. ISOM #1. Got the little popsicle stick as the bookmark. We started reading it with my two sons, 3 and 6. Good times. Got about a quarter way too. Not really halfway through. About a quarter way through. Oh, quality book. I mean, the feel of it. Now, I'm not a comic expert, but I'm just feeling like this isn't cheap paper. Like this is nice. Like this is really nice stuff. And then we've got the other cover B. I think it's the cover B where it's Yaira versus Isom. That one is not going to be opened. It's going to stay in the back, the boarding, the cardboard back, and the wrapper. So this one, if they both came at the same time, we probably would have kept this one wrapped. But this, I ordered them in different days. So shout out to Eric July, Lady Ripper, the whole team over there. Quality time with my sons. We read this, we read the woke Captain Marvel. Like I said, I'll read woke stuff. Like I'm not going to, but I'm not going to just read. Well, there's some woke stuff I won't read. There was a book we got from the library accidentally that was about a penguin. And I forget the book. It's a famous book. When I bring it up to like people in that education space, they know the book as soon as I say penguins. But my sons like penguins, and they brought the book home, and it was not what I wanted to have for them. But most woke stuff is not that bad. I just want a balance. So we read this whole woke Captain Marvel. It wasn't fun. It's like the woke stuff is just not fun, and it just good to read something that's just normal. So really happy to get the ISOM. You had the Tesla bot reveal today. Really? Yeah, you had the Tesla bot reveal. I won't lie. It was a little spooky. It was a little Halloweenish. And then, then there's the small issue of nuclear war. How about that? The small issue of the mushroom cloud and your skin melting off your body. That potential being more real than ever in the history of my lifetime by far. Maybe the history of the world. Not that we're close to it. I don't want to spark alarms or anything like that. But at some point we might have to say, well, just in case y'all are really as crazy as we think you are, y'all are going to have to stop. Then there's that. Then there's the hurricane, Florida. People in Florida, hopefully everybody's okay. And it's weird because I know some people in Florida, I'm like, damn, it looked like it came right by you. And they're like, no, if you're not in the path. So thankfully everybody's okay. Carlos, friend of the show, Salul, thankfully everybody's okay, and anybody else out there. I'm going to talk about Ian a little bit too. Not really about Ian, but more about Miss Kamala Harris. Oh, damn pandemic, man. You making me feel good, man. I appreciate you. You know, sometimes a bro needs a little pick me up. No, for real. I appreciate that. We haven't chatted in a while. Dan Plandemic says your show deserves 1 million supporters. Man, I appreciate you. And on top of that, like, what a day. I'm not going to forget September 30th. It's close to my son's birthday. He already had his birthday, and he got too many gifts. But, grateful that we could do that. And so I'm not going to forget. It's close to his birthday. Got the comic book. I mean, some of my favorite father-son time reading the book. But then all that other stuff. And guess what else dropped today? As if enough didn't happen. The first iteration of my website dropped. Now, I'm happy with it. Happy with the team I hired to do it. I don't know anything about website stuff. So I'm happy with the, not team, but, the person I got doing it. I'm happy with it. Please, shout out to Mike. That's it. That's not it. But here's where I'm going with it. If you look at the website, that's the website. Rachel Mary Wynn saying, thank you. We got sane people here, man. Well, this isn't, I hope it's not political to say that I would rather our youth not have to go to war. I don't know. I think we're coddled and people don't understand. If we get to war with Russia, either the nukes fly and then you're done. You're just eviscerated. Now, who knows where they would go and all that, but really? I don't even know where the technology is at this point. It'd probably just wipe everything out. They got, to my knowledge, they've got hundreds of them, maybe thousands. I forgot. I looked it up on another video. I forgot the amount. I looked up the amount. This was last year, and it's stunning how many nuclear warheads. Russia and the U.S. have the most nuclear warheads. They could destroy the whole planet if they need, and no one could stop that. You couldn't stop it. So thank you for the sane reaction. We're not even talking about politics with that. But it's middlemaga.com. Here's why I did that. That's the website. And the reason why I went with that is it's easy. Like, I wanted to be able, the channel right now is hard to promote. Like, I can't say, go to YouTube and search Stuck in the Middle. You're not going to find it. You're going to have to search STUCKNDAMID or Stuck in the Middle Critical Race Theory to find it. So if I'm trying to promote stuff, I'm like, you know what? Forget YouTube. Just go to middlemaga.com. It's that simple. And then not only that, I've got like 8 channels. And then Ray and I are doing another channel. So I'm just going to put the videos there. Okay. Go to middlemaga.com. You don't have to go to Tim Pool After Show. You don't have to go to Critical Theory News. You don't have to go to AOC News. You don't have to go to Elevate the Game. You don't have to go. Just make the grift easy. That's what I'm trying to do. So I appreciate everybody stopping by and the support. And the sanity is worth a lot because, all this stuff is going on. I don't even, be honest with you, I don't even talk politics with my wife that much just because it's just like, I since the pandemic's gone, like, we were kind of pretty much the same, like, I would say blue pilled. Like I said, I liked Amy Klobuchar type stuff, and I think she's still there. And since the pandemic came, I took a, and it's like, let me, and she's based, she's smart, but I'm just more in this stuff. And, you know, she didn't even bring up war or anything, which is fine. We got to live our lives. Like, if the bomb's going to drop, then at this point, what do you want me to do? I can't do anything about it. Let me finish my ISOM first. That's all I ask. Let me finish the comic book first, and with my sons. But the reason I bring that up is y'all are the sanity. People in the chat who represent all different type walks of life, and y'all are all over the country. And one thing we pretty much, I would probably think 99% agree with on this channel is we don't want war. Especially when the people in charge, who are the ones who are supposed to convince me, they're my rep, they work for us, they have not even come close to convincing me of a purpose for us to be escalating this war. Giorgia, I wish I wasn't sick the other day so I could have done that video. So I'm not going to do as deep of a dive. Number one, I'm just kind of past her now. Number two, I've been hearing a lot of stuff about YouTube on other people. I got a strike on one of my other channels for something else. I'm not going to dwell on that. But the ban hammer is swift right now. And one of her videos got pulled. A video where she's literally just talking about God, family, and country. I have a clip of it in a short. It got pulled from YouTube. Why? For hate speech. This is what's happening. So I'm even worried about covering, hey, who knows? This could be the last show. Go to middlemaga.com. If you slide down, the best way, we've got the Discord. I put that in the channel list. I got Twitter. So there's multiple ways, but enter your email here, and I can at least stay in touch with you. I can at least, the thing I don't like is you get a strike and you can't send a message out being like, I'm out because I got a strike. Like, I mean, that's just whatever. But you go in here, you can put in your name, and email, and I'll be able to email. I'm not doing more than probably one email a week at the moment. I'm not doing any emails yet, but I think at some point maybe just a list of the video. I don't know. We'll see. But definitely, if something happens, I'll be able to contact some people. Not who really checks email nowadays. Bryson Gray's doing text. What do y'all think about text? Because I sign up to TD Hip Hop Media. He's a black identitarian, but I think a really good channel. And I sign up to get his text alerts. Yeah, that speech was good. The speech was really good. Now, I do have some questions about her, though. So I'm going to get into that. But the speech was, I just go by content now. I talked about it with this MAGA communism. I don't, a year ago, I would have been like, what are you talking about with communism? But it does, whatever. So for her and anybody else, the speech was good. But I do have some questions, though, about her. So I'm not all in on her, but I like what I hear, at least from that speech there. So I just got to figure out where to kind of start today. I think we'll have to start with the most important topic, which is war. And Putin made a speech. I was trying to figure out like how best to summarize it, and then this is why I follow a lot of different types of people. This is the populist left. This is Fiorella Isabel, who's one of the best reporters out there. She had to go to Russia, and I think she's working in out of Russia now. But she's a great. This is Convo Couch. This is the Nico House Network. Really good. I can even say friends of show Pasta, and I have corresponded. These are good people from what I see. And what I like here is that she did a good summary of it. This is a summary. If you didn't hear Putin's speech, you've got to. Comic Dave Smith was on with Joe Rogan, and on that show, he said, okay, we can, I don't know if he said this, but you can listen to our government. That's fine. I want to hear all sides. I want to hear what Biden has to say. I want to hear what Blinken has to say, and Austin and all of them. But I also want to hear what whoever our adversaries are or our purported adversaries are, other people in the world. I want to hear what they have to say. And I don't know what they do now. I mean, this thing could get censored in a second. Things are crazy right now. They're going to this kind of like war, and just you can just throw around hate speech and just cancel something. So we'll see. But I want to hear what Putin has to say. And Fiorella brings that to us. Everyone should read. This is Fiorella Isabel. I highly recommend following on Twitter, getting linked up to the Convo Couch. Pasta has a show on, if anybody's up on Rockfin, great app. That's where I follow Whitney Webb. But Fiorella Isabel reports everyone should read Vladimir Putin's speech to truly understand what this is about. Here is a thread of key parts. I'll link speech at the end. So that's her opinion, what it's about. I'm not going to listen to it to hear what it's about. I want to crowdsource the truth. So what that means is I want to hear what everyone has to say, and I will figure out who to believe. That's what I want to do. Because all this stuff, a lot of this stuff that they're talking about is going to be opinion, even from Putin and Biden, in other words. So Putin laid it out. The people living in I can't pronounce these cities here, so I apologize. Lugansk and Donetsk and Kherson and Zaporozhye have become our citizens forever. So I know I butchered them because I hear people pronounce them right, but I can't. So these areas here, these are the areas that voted, and they're basically being annexed to Russia at this point. And it's funny. Well, let me not. I don't want to get into that part. Continuing on. So the people. So he said they became our citizens forever. Woo! Strong verbiage. These are quotes that she's doing here. They've become our citizens, comma, forever. Damn. Forever's a long time, especially when you're in the middle of a conflict. We call on the Kiev regime to immediately cease fire and all hostilities to end the war it unleashed back in 2014 and return to the negotiating table. Pause. No matter what you think about this war, why are we not hearing from our representatives about forcing negotiations? I want to hear more yapping of the mouth and less I want more yapping out the mouth. Stop the shooting, and I want to hear some talking. That's what I want to hear. And it's getting harder to do the shows on here. Just say that. I don't want to hear this dude in charge, this dude in charge of Ukraine, begging for money again and signing documents to try and join NATO. So basically, he's got a situation where somebody came through in his crib and he wants to get everybody else involved to go back at that dude. I need you to go work it out with him. That's what I need you to do. You don't have the proper motivation to work it out because we keep giving you funds to buy more toys and weapons. These are toys of death. So you take all these ex-Yahtzees and you cozy up with them, and you cozy up with them because they are the badasses. You can't put me on a battlefield because I'm not going to last 2 seconds. You get the nastiest, gnarliest. You're going into a battle. You're not going to take my border collie named Ryder. He's a sweetheart. you're going to go down the street and find that pit bull that's been raised with drool coming out of his teeth, and all he knows is destruction. And it doesn't matter if he was an ex-Yahtzee. Who cares? You need someone to fight. So they cozy up with them. So if you want to do that, cozy up with them without the credit card coming from us. You're printing money out of thin air, putting it on a credit card and giving it to them with no accountability. That is the only reason that this clown that leads Ukraine is walking around with his chest out. He's letting his people down and he's getting people killed. I've had enough of it. And we own that. He's got to do what he does. Those people have to deal with that. With Putin, I couldn't care less about Putin. The Russians got to deal with Putin. I got to deal with the people who represent me. So keep me out of it. But here we go. So Putin is like, oh, you got this dude with his chest out, basically. So Putin's like, come back to the negotiating table. So now Putin looks more kind of, amenable than the U.S. Maybe I'm missing something in the chat. Let me know. Have you heard anyone in the U.S., anyone in NATO? I don't know NATO as much, but I follow the U.S. talk about coming back to the table. I'm not hearing anything even close to that. We gotta get to the table. That's the next step of this. Because for it to stop, it's not going to stop if people are not talking. So what will happen is you'll see talking, and then you'll go back to these real life Call of Duty videos we're seeing where people are dying with these missiles and they're using the screen and they're guiding the missile or whatever. It's literally like real life Call of Duty. And then you'll start talking again, and then maybe something will happen. So he said, we call on the regime to immediately cease fire, return to the negotiating table. It's the choice of the people here in these regions. I'm not going to butcher the names again. It's the choice of the people in these regions will not be discussed. The decision has been made, and Russia will not betray it. So do I believe all that like it was completely nothing on the up and up? I don't know. So that's irrelevant to me. Just keep me out of the situation. So I'm not saying that I believe everything that he's saying here, because I can't confirm it. So I don't know either way. We will defend our land with all the forces and resources we have, and we will do everything we can to ensure the safety of our people. So that's where you could say that's a threat in a way, because, it's like he says we will defend, because he's using that on purpose so he can say, well, I'm not threatening. I'm saying I'm going to defend. Whatever. At the end of the day, what he's saying is he will defend, however that's defined, with all the forces and resources. And let me Google real quick. How many? I was going to say, hey Siri, I turned that off. Hey Google, how many nuclear weapons does Russia have? And I'm looking up the answer now. Nuclear stockpile of weapons. Russia possesses an estimated 6,300 nuclear warheads as of 2022, the largest stockpile of nuclear warheads in the world. The second largest is the United States at 5,428 warheads. Russia's deployed missiles, those are actually ready to be launched, number about 1,588. Second to the U.S., 1,644. So I don't know the exact, I'm not any expert in this. I'm getting more knowledgeable now slowly. But I don't think you need to be fully versed in nuclear warfare to look at the number of 1,600 active between the two countries to realize you're not going to stop Russia. It's just not possible unless they, for some reason, don't use those. And he just said he will defend our land with all the forces and resources we have. So from my standpoint, from a common person standpoint, is we have to assume that's true. There is no other take. There is no take like, oh, yeah, you know what, keep giving money and keep escalating. I don't even know what people are thinking. Oh, he's just probably bluffing. You can't assume that. Scott Adams, with one of the most asinine takes I've ever heard on the Civil War in America, said, well, you know what? The Civil War is just something, I'm paraphrasing, it's just an imaginary thing on Twitter. And somebody said, well, how do you know we're not going to get into a Civil War? Scott Adams says, go outside. Well, go outside right now. How many people really are even talking about World War III? I haven't seen it. Didn't interact with that many people out there, but it's not like people are buzzing about it that I've seen in my area. My wife didn't even bring it up once. So that's what you're doing, Scott? Oh, we go outside, no one's talking about it. So it must not be happening. Or either that or everyone's just ignorant and fine, enjoying their lives, which I think you need to do. But when that nuke drops potentially, I think that's the moment where you're going to be like, damn, what happened? He said they will defend their land with all the forces they have. We will definitely rebuild the destroyed cities and towns, the residential buildings, schools, hospitals, theaters, and museums. We will restore and develop industrial enterprises, factories, infrastructure, as well as the social security, pension, healthcare, and education systems. So this is all the propaganda of war. Oh, we're going to be the good guys. Like, we're going to come through. This is Russia, Putin here saying, oh, we're going to come through. We're going to murk your ass. Don't get that twisted. You're going to get this heat, but we'll rebuild you up. Is basically what he's saying. Okay. When the Soviet Union collapsed, the West decided that the world, and so I'm looking at this statement, going back now, and this isn't a full transcript, but you notice what hasn't come up yet. Ain't nothing come up about Ukraine yet. Russia, they're not even talking about Ukraine. Ukraine's like nothing. Ukraine's like an ant to them. I know people are talking about, oh, Ukraine pushed them back and all that. If Russia wants to, Russia can't hold all of Ukraine. It's just too big to do. But if they want to take that eastern part, that I don't see that I don't care how much money you're giving them. It's going to be very. That's why they say prolonged. All that is a stalemate. It's almost like you're playing chess and Russia keeps taking their pieces and America keeps giving them a new knight, a new rook, a new bishop. Well, okay. I mean, at some point, but Russia's like, well, they're not really losing pieces. They lost ground, but they're not really losing people like that. They kind of retreated. So they didn't even bring up, he's not even talking about Ukraine. The first thing he talks about here, and I think this is from the speech. I didn't hear him any talk about Ukraine at all in the beginning of the speech. And he says the West. Who's the West? We, in the U.S., if you represent the U.S., we represent the West. There's nobody else that represents the West like the U.S., period. So he's talking about the U.S. and anybody who associates with that. He's talking about Europe, too. I mean, it's just so funny because it's like, why don't you just kind of make, Russia wants to be European. Moscow wants to be like Paris. So why don't you just, I don't know. Why don't you just be Paris? Why don't you just join in? You would just, if Russia joined in with the EU, they would control the EU. I don't know if the EU would want them. I don't know. I'm not an expert in the geopolitics of that, but it's just funny to me. So when it collapsed, the West decided the world and all of us would permanently accede to its dictates. In 1991, the West thought that Russia would never rise after such shocks and would fall to pieces on its own. This almost happened. We remember the horrible 1990s, hungry, cold, and hopeless. But Russia remained standing, came alive, grew stronger, and occupied its rightful place in the world. Meanwhile, the West continued and continues looking for another chance to strike a blow at us to weaken and break up Russia. No Ukraine. They don't. It's not about Ukraine for them. They know it's not about Ukraine. That's what they're saying. It's about U.S. It's like, let's stop with the dumb stuff. I mean, this is basically a declaration of war, is what this is. He's like, stop with the dumb. If this were the 1930s, they just would have said, we at war. Just draft them up. So if you're watching this video and you're, young man, young able-bodied man, draft them up. That's where we'd be heading at. We don't have enough personnel to handle this, especially if China and Iran or other people get involved. We definitely don't have enough personnel for that. You're not going to out-personnel China. Now, China has not gotten involved. That is a question that I have. China is a globalist. They want to control the globalist movement. And Russia is a nationalist country. They're against the globalists. So China's kind of playing both hands here. They're saying, Russia, you can be you. I think China looks down on Russia like Neanderthals, but they appreciate their society, their culture more than Americans. They look down at America worse than Russia, in my opinion. So they look at, China looks down on everybody. I'm not talking about the people of China. I'm talking about the CCP. The CCP, and they might have a point. Let me just be clear about that. Let me do my Kamala Harris. Just to be clear, I'm not saying they don't have a point. If this is true, this is all in my head, all opinion, all impression. My impression is China looks down on the world. If you don't agree with their Eastern philosophy, they look down on you. Even if you do, and you're not them, they still look down on you, in my opinion, to countries like Japan and others. So when you look at it, it's going to be, I think we're in World War III right now. It's just the beginnings of it. A lot of this is going to depend on what China does. China's funding Russia. I think a loan defaulted for Russia owes China money already. I mean, they're burning through money. And if China gets involved in funding Russia, then this war could go on. I mean, you could see people drafted as long as nukes don't fly. Because if the nukes fly, then don't worry about the draft, because we're all going to be drafted to a higher calling, hopefully. But let's assume no nukes fall, like thousands of nukes or something crazy like that. Then you could see people drafted. Like I'm talking about like not like Afghanistan war. I'm talking about like war for 20. You could have war for 20 years. The funding is there. They're both China, U.S. printing money. It will keep people. Yeah, your life's going to be real tough. Your dollar's not going to be worth anything. You're not going to have any job. People are going to get foreclosed. They're going to be homeless. But they're going to drag you off the street, give you a rifle, and go ahead and go in. Potentially. So that's what we're risking right now. Let me take a break and look at the chat. I haven't even seen the chat. Hopefully I'm not. When I haven't looked at the chat in a while, I'm like, have I been on mute? Let me see. I don't know. What's up, Ray? I'm doing good, man. Scott Adams smokes too much weed, Rachel said. I like some things that Scott does and says, and sometimes he's off. Like on the pandemic, he's way off. On the Civil War, he's way off. And I'm harder on people like him because that's what he does. He does his comics and the podcast, right? I mean, that's his business. I'm doing this for fun. He should be thinking through these topics better, in my opinion. So he's saying that the West has always dreamed about to divide our state and set our peoples against each other and to condemn them to poverty and extinction. I talk about that all the time, so I will have to agree with that. It's because of the populist uprising. They cannot rest easy knowing that there is such a great country with this huge territory in the world with its natural wealth resources. Yeah, this is true. And that's what wars are mostly about. And people who cannot and will not do someone else's bidding. The West is ready to cross every line to preserve the neo-colonial system which allows it to live off the world. I thought that was a jab at Ukraine. Ukraine comes across to me, just my opinion, as a corrupt colony of America. And to me, I think he said this neo-colonial system, that's a jab at Ukraine. That's the first reference, little, what do you call them, sneak diss, or, kind of like a little sneak diss at Ukraine, which allows it to live off the world, to plunder, and other areas too, to plunder it thanks to the domination of the dollar and technology. I think the technology is more like warfare. To collect an actual tribute from humanity, to extract its primary source of unearned prosperity, the rent paid to the hegemon. The preservation of this annuity is their main, real, and absolutely self-serving motivation. This is why total desovereignization is in their interest. Gosh, I hate to say, you compare Putin's language, and he's a lawyer, not practicing obviously, but lawyer by trade, and you compare Putin's verbiage, whoever writes his speeches, to what we've got. Man, if you were going to pick the leader just based on the quality of when Putin, it's very eloquent. When I see I don't obviously speak Russian, but the translation, this is really well written. Like it's kind of like, you read it, you're like, whoa, this is powerful stuff, powerful words. You're talking about the preservation of this annuity is their main. I don't hear that from us. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I don't hear anything I'm not talking about the content of it. I'm saying the quality of the writing. This explains their aggression towards independent states, traditional values, and authentic cultures. Whew. Their attempts to undermine international and integration processes. He's talking about us, y'all. New global currencies and technological development centers they cannot control. It is critically important for them to force all countries to surrender their sovereignty to the United States. I don't know about all countries, but the United States needs people to use the dollar to as far as trading oil. So I think that's where I would agree with that statement, if that's what he means. In certain countries, the ruling elites voluntarily agree to do this, voluntarily agree to become vassals. Others are bribed or intimidated. I think those are pretty much facts. I mean, it's not like Russia doesn't try to do the same thing in a way too. And if this does not work, they destroy entire states, leaving behind humanitarian disasters, devastation, ruins, millions of wrecked and mangled human lives, terrorists in enclaves, social disaster zones, protectorates, colonies, and semi-colonies. They don't care. This is straight on talking about the U.S. Now, I will criticize this because just say it, man. If you're going to talk about the U.S., just say the U.S. Don't even say the West. We already know, the U.S. is the one funding Ukraine. Like, you look at the other NATO countries, they're the ones right there. They're barely putting any money in. Just say the U.S. Like, why are you half-stepping? If you're going to be the big bad dude, be the big bad dude and just say it. I think people are worried about the optics is what it is. I want to underscore again that their insatiability and determination to preserve their unfettered dominance are the real causes of the hybrid war that the collective West is waging against Russia. What does he mean by hybrid? I think of proxy. I wonder if that's what he's meaning there. Proxy, hybrid war. Is he talking about, is it maybe sanctions too? Economic war? Because you're seeing information war, economic war. I don't know. They do not want us to be free. They want us to be a colony. Yeah, I think the U.S. Didn't Biden say it? They want a regime change in Russia for sure. They do not want equal cooperation, allegedly, on the regime change. They do not want equal cooperation. They want to loot. They do not want to see us a free society, but a mass of soulless slaves. He's talking about globalization there now. But so that's so weird because China is their buddy in a way, and China's the one that really wants that too. They see our thought and our philosophy as a direct threat. That is why they target our philosophers for assassination. This allegedly, I don't know if there was any, I don't know if maybe historically he's talking about that I'm not aware of, but I don't think there's any proof on the recent one for sure. I forgot the guy's name. That is why they target our philosophers for assassination. Our culture and art present a danger to them, so they are trying to ban them. Our development and prosperity are also a threat to them because competition is growing. They do not want or need Russia, but we do. The West is counting on impunity, on being able to get away with anything. As a matter of fact, this was actually the case until recently. Strategic security agreements have been trashed. Agreements reached at the highest political level have been declared tall tales. So he's talking about some of the stuff I actually started this live with, that there were agreements made talking about the expansion of NATO. Well, people dispute these agreements, but the bottom line is they thought there was an agreement. So that's going to be a problem. Firm promises not to expand. Oh, then he went on and talked about it. Firm promises not to expand NATO to the east gave way to dirty deception as soon as our former leaders bought into them. Missile defense, intermediate range, and shorter range missiles treaties have been unilaterally dismantled under far-fetched pretexts. So he's saying y'all moved east, got weapons right up on us, very close to us, and then he's basically saying we have to defend ourselves. Again, he's not even talking about Ukraine. And all we hear is the West is insisting on rules-based order. Where did that come from anyway? Who has ever seen these rules? Who agreed or approved them? Man, see, that's why they know that Putin has some solid points. And that's why they say, if you even read what he's saying, basically, you're a Putin supporter. Because they don't want to argue the merit of the discussion. I don't know if he's being genuine or not. He could have other motives. He knows the world stage, obviously way better than I do. There's a whole lot of factors I'm not privy to. But if you just take what they say, Biden versus Putin, and you say, hey, who wants to make the debate club? You will say, hey, here's the topic for debate: immigration. Which side do you want to take? Do you want to take the open border side like Biden, Kamala, or do you want to take the MAGA, more legal immigration route? And if you want to take the easier side to argument, you know which one to take. In this case, the Putin side is the easier side of the argument, from what I see. But I'm not purporting myself to know everything. This is just a layman, just like we chilling at the crib, just talking about geopolitics. And we need to talk about geopolitics. Those who want to do it, if you don't want to and you just want to live your life, then live your life. Don't talk about it. Don't do it. Don't get bogged down. And even if you are talking about it, don't get bogged down into it. But we need to talk about this stuff. People need to, if I have holes in my knowledge, I need my representatives to fill them. And they're not doing that. He just came out and said it here. Who agreed, or let me read that again. And all we hear is the West is insisting on a rules-based order. Where did that come from anyway? Who has ever seen these rules? Who agreed or approved them? Listen, this is just a lot of nonsense, utter deceit, double standards, or even triple standards. They must think we're stupid. Woo. Russia is a great 1,000-year-old power. Now he's talking about his legacy, in my opinion. He's like, okay, we're a great 1,000-year-old power. I'm not Mikhail Gorbachev. I'm not going to, kind of sell us out. And I'm going to be continuing that power structure of the dictators of old. A whole civilization, and it is not going to live by such makeshift false rules. It was the so-called West that trampled on the principle of inviolability of borders, and now it's deciding at its own discretion who has the right to self-determination and who does not, who is unworthy of it. It is unclear what their decisions are based on who gave them the right to decide in the first place. They just assumed. They just assumed it. That's why the choice of the people in Crimea, I'm not going to mess up the words again, and these areas here, these are all on the eastern part of Ukraine, makes them, and I believe that a lot of them on the eastern side of Ukraine, because a lot of them speak Russian. I mean, they're right on the border. I was chatting with somebody and I was like, just if say I'm in the eastern part, I don't know what happened with their process to make the decision. But I'm just thinking about me. If I was there in the eastern part of Ukraine, I could either go with Ukraine, who, in my opinion, is just a corrupt puppet colonized by the U.S., or I could go to Russia. Ukraine is out here getting people killed, putting people's lives in danger, refusing to negotiate. Russia's the one trying to negotiate. How does that work? You would probably want the more powerful one, the weaker one to negotiate. Say, hey, don't do this. I want to negotiate. That's not what's happening. So for me, the decision would be easy if I lived over there. I mean, not knowing the whole situation, but it wouldn't be a tough. You only have two. You can't be in the middle like, I'm not going to choose a side. So allegedly, they chose Russia. It says the West does not have any moral right to weigh in or even utter a word about freedom or of democracy. It does not, and it never did. Very strong words. Western elites not only deny national sovereignty and international law, their hegemony has pronounced features of totalitarianism, despotism, and apartheid. They brazenly divide the world into their vassals, the so-called civilized countries, and all the rest, who, according to the designs of today's Western racists, should be added to the list of barbarians and savages. Man, this is a declaration of war, okay? I don't know what else I need to say. False labels like rogue country or authoritarian regime are already available and are used to stigmatize entire nations and states, which is nothing new. There's nothing new in this. Deep down, the Western elites have remained the same colonizers. They discriminate and divide peoples into the top tier and the rest. We have never agreed to and will never agree to such political nationalism and racism. What else, if not racism, is the Russophobia being spread about the world? Is very interesting points here. I would say if I were in the Russian camp, I would be more, I didn't hear anything, and maybe I missed it, him talking about the common person in America. Same with Biden talking about the common person in Russia. I think, so what he's doing is he's talking world leader to whoever's behind, but Biden's a puppet. He doesn't know what's going on. Whoever is behind Biden, and I believe Jen and Peter both thought it was Blinken, but whoever's behind, and Blinken's not the one, whoever's behind Blinken, whoever's really behind it, he's talking to them. And I think the mistake is you need to talk to the American people. That's who you really need to talk to. And I think that's an opportunity missed, because all this bloviating what is this changing? All this is digging in deeper where you can't back out. Like, how do you do a speech like this? And then what kind of negotiation are we having at this point? So what if not racism is the West's dogmatic conviction that its civilization and neoliberal culture, yikes. He's attacking wokeism. He's attacking this buffoonery that we're seeing in the West. So maybe he is, now that I think about it, maybe he is trying to indirectly talk to like you and I, saying, y'all know this buffoonery is buffoonery, right? I'm just going to continue on. Let me ask you this. You can tell, is he wrong? Is he wrong? Let me digress, because I've been reading. Let me digress for a second. He's talking about, what if not racism is the West's dogmatic conviction that its civilization and neoliberal culture is an indisputable model for the entire world to follow. You're either with us or against us. It even sounds strange. You know what he's talking about? I have a perfect example queued up here. Kamala Harris. Let's take a break from this. I'm going to come back to this speech. Don't worry about that. Hopefully it's not too boring. Kamala Harris did this. This is what he's talking about with the neoliberal nonsense. Straight up from Kamala Harris. I wish Putin were lying. That's all I can say. This is in regards to hurricane relief from Hurricane Ian, where people have, some people have had their homes devastated. There's been people who lost their lives. At last I saw 21 people indirectly or directly associated with the hurricane. And this is our vice president. Oh.
It is our lowest income communities and our communities of color that are most impacted by these extreme conditions and impacted by issues that are not of our own making. And so absolutely. And so we have to address this in a way that is about giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities and do that work.
Excuse my language. I can't do a clean response. What is that? What is she talking about? You can see it on her face. She doesn't believe it. Like, just look at her face. Is this coming through? Let me make sure this is coming through. Look at her face. She does not believe a word she's saying. That's why her face looks like so awkward. Look at this. That's not how normal people look. Like when you're having a real conversation or you ever seen Carrie Lake look like that? You ever seen Marjorie Taylor Greene look like that? I've never seen Marjorie Taylor Greene look like this. Never. I see Amy Klobuchar. I see Chuck Schumer. I see Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy. I see them all look like this. They think they're good liars, but they're not as good as you think, or they think. Look at that. Her face. What kind of facial expressions are those? It's like she's cringing as she's saying this. And then she's like, okay, let me nod so you all nod. And these baby seals clap to this nonsense. She's basically saying, oh, we've got to do federal relief. And I don't think she meant it in that that's what was going to happen in the response to Ian. But when you've got people who are scared, like their homes are all destroyed and messed up, and they're like, when is help going to come from FEMA? And you hear your vice president say this.
About giving resources based on equity, understanding that we fight for equality, but we also need to fight for equity, understanding not everyone starts out at the same place. And if we want people to be in an equal place, sometimes we have to take into account those disparities.
So people were genuinely like not political people, like people like they don't know what's happening. They saw that, and there's people who aren't following this stuff like you and I. That for me, that's no surprise. We saw some of that in the pandemic. We saw it in Texas, in a red state, where they said, "Hey, you don't get to do this because you're not this," and Minnesota as well. And so I'm not surprised by it at all. But then Christina Pashaw had to respond. She not in like a clapback way. She had to respond in a let's get the right, accurate information out their way. This is false. VP's rhetoric is causing undue panic and must be clarified. FEMA individual assistance is already available to all Floridians impacted by Hurricane Ian, regardless of race or background. If you need assistance, visit here, call here. So she had to literally respond to it. So you bring that back to now let me read that paragraph again from Putin. That's just one example. We've got examples after. I have a whole channel with examples. I had to do a whole different channel because I don't want this channel to be nothing but examples of racism from these clowns. So you go back to Putin and he says, what if not racism So basically, he's saying that basically Kamala Harris, my impression that Kamala Harris, in this dogmatic conviction that you just heard from her of equity, is racism. See, what if not racism is the West's dogmatic conviction that its civilization and neoliberal culture is an indisputable model for the entire world to follow. You're either with us or against us. It even sounds strange. Western elites are even shifting repentance for their own historical crimes on everyone else, demanding that the citizens of their countries and other people confess to things that have nothing to do with it all. For example, the period of colonial conquests. It is worth reminding the West that it began its colonial policy back in the Middle Ages, followed by the worldwide slave trade, the genocide of Indian tribes in America, the plunder of India and Africa, the wars of England and France against China. And so I don't agree with bringing this stuff up here at all. The part up here where he was talking about the neoliberal culture, that was on point. As a result of which it was forced to open its ports to the opium trade. What they did was get entire nations hooked on drugs and purposely exterminated entire ethnic groups for the sake of grabbing land and resources, hunting people like animals. That's true. This is contrary to human nature, truth, freedom, and justice. So that's true. I don't know what that has to do with anything right now, though. So now he's off, and he's just off on a tangent. The relevant part of this is he is obviously angry and throwing everything at the book to justify. He's got 300,000 young men, mostly, who volunteered, mostly. And I don't know, Russia has, 40 million people? Or how many people in Russia? How many? And I don't know how many of them are men, able-bodied. So they have 144 million people, and I believe about 40 million people they could call up for war. Like, assuming no nukes, you would be drafting, and that would go on for, it's just very ugly stuff. And so he goes on here to say, while we are proud that in the 20th century, our country led the anti-colonial movement, which opened up opportunities for many people around the world to make progress, reduce poverty and inequity. So there's just more propaganda here. So I think I'm going to stop. It's fascinating stuff to read. And I think it's proof that I don't know how close we are to World War III or nukes, but it's proof that we should take this seriously. We're at the point where we can't, this isn't something to play around. This is not a drill. We're definitely at that point. We're at the point where we can acknowledge this is not a drill. Let me know what you think. Yeah. So Metalopoly, friend of the show, what's up, says, yes, I know Russia isn't great, and I hate to say this, but I feel we're the bad guys here. I kind of talked with my son about this on, we're reading ISOM. If you're just joining, got the ISOM 1. So we're reading it, and, my son's like, both of them are really into, Star Wars, are you dark side or light side is what they call it. And ISOM, they're like, is that a good guy or a bad guy? And I'm like, here's the deal. ISOM is a good guy. It looks like he's obviously a good guy. And then I believe it's Darren is the antagonist, is the kind of the bad guy. So, but I tell them, I think it's Darren Fontaine or something like that. And I tell them it's all relative. Now, you have to bear the consequences if you are breaking the law. There are laws in this world. And if you break the law, that doesn't even mean you're necessarily a bad guy. It's all relative. I can give you my opinion on who the bad guys are. So I kind of bring that up almost every time they talk about the good guy, bad guy. And it's the same here. Who has the stronger argument? I think Russia has the stronger argument. I haven't heard an argument. What's the U.S. argument? I have not heard a U.S. argument. I've heard people online say that they don't want Russia to take over all of Ukraine and then move into Europe. And I see zero evidence that could even happen. The Ukraine is too big to hold the whole country. And even if they could, then you know what? Trump would probably agree with this. Well, then Europe, you're going to have to foot the bill. You're right there. Why am I footing the bill for it? So I think Russia has a stronger argument. Now, I agree with that. And that will put you in the camp of being ostracized. And they're trying to do it. CPAC had to delete a tweet. And I didn't see anything wrong with the tweet. The only thing I saw wrong with the tweet was that they didn't criticize the GOP and the Democrats. But let me go to Giorgia Meloni, and hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. I always want to do like a heavy Italian accent when pronouncing her, but I never heard of her until she just won. Well, Steve Bannon has been talking about her for quite a bit. Since recently, when Steve Bannon had been talking about her, I hadn't followed her. So, Metalopoli says what the U.S. argument is. U.S. argument is do what we want or you're racist, you're racist, transphobic, bigot, basically. That is the argument. Even though the U.S. government acknowledges that there's a lot of racism in Ukraine. I did a TikTok on that. Let's talk. I want to talk about Giorgia Meloni. I find her whole thing here interesting because I've just been looking like, who is she? And I see a lot in her speeches I like and other stuff I don't agree with. I don't know if she's for real, though. I don't know if she's a fake. I'm not 100% sure what to think of her. I definitely don't trust her. I'm not going to label her anything. If you label her a fascist, you might be right, but not the type of fascist that that the people on the left might think. Definitely not that. This is not a Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's just say that. That's not what she is. We've got to analyze people by their actions and their policy positions. And I think what they're trying to do is use her as a leverage in America to say, look, we'll label her as fascist, so you vote against MAGA during the midterms because we know MAGA's rising on up. And when I've been waffling on the midterms, just reading the tea leaves, looking at the different polling, I'm going out on a limb. I think we're going to see a red tsunami. I think the polling is skewed. It's off, just like 2016. I was listening to Rich Barris, and he was like, he's having trouble even finding people to fill the Republican section of his polling because people don't want to put down where they are. So what that means is when they go to the voting booth, people aren't taken into this in account. That's what happened with Trump. People aren't taken into account. People have in their head right now, I'm voting MAGA. And then they might be out for drinks and coffee with their friends, and they might be like, and their friends might be Biden, and they'd be like, oh yeah, are you supporting Biden? And they might be like, yeah, I'm supporting Biden. And they might take a sip of their coffee and be like, the hell I am. I think there's a lot of people out there, especially maybe suburban, they're worried about, they definitely wouldn't express it online because you're putting yourself in danger at this point, expressing stuff online. They'll label anything as hate speech. See, that's what I don't like with YouTube marking stuff as hate speech. And that's like, so what? I put something on YouTube, now I'm marked as hate speech. So what? Now am I going to get fired from my job because YouTube called something hate speech when it wasn't? Like Ray Studios we were on his channel, got a strike for like bullying. This verbiage is very, very dangerous for multiple reasons. But I think there's a lot of people out there who are like, to hell I am voting for, I mean, Biden's not in the midterms, but you think I'm voting for Fetterman. To hell I am. This goofy ass. So I had Jen and Peter on, and they brought up Fetterman. If you look at that part of the video, I actually laugh out loud. I didn't want to. I didn't mean to. And it's not even at Fetterman's policies. I can't even get to his policy positions because the bro he can't communicate. And you could hear an audible laugh the most recent gaffe from him, like he's just a gaffe machine. Like he's a constant gaffer. The most recent one, he's on the interview with Chris Hayes. He's on with Chris Hayes all in. And let's listen to the most recent Fetterman. I'll go off track for a second here. So, Chris is like teeing it up for him. And here we go.
At first, I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling and how you're doing.
I'm doing fantastic, and it's not about kicking balls in the authority or anything.
At first, I just wanted to check in and.
This is not edited. I did not edit. Well, it's edited like it stopped, but I didn't edit it in between. There's no edits here. He said something to the effect of, "It's not about kicking balls in the authority." Let's listen to this.
See how you're feeling and how you're doing.
I'm doing fantastic, and it's not about kicking balls in the authority or anything.
At first, I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling and how you're doing.
I'm doing fantastic, and it's not about kicking balls in the authority or anything.
At first, I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling and how you're doing.
I'm doing fantastic, and it's not about kicking balls in the authority or anything.
At first, I just wanted to check in and see how you're feeling and how you're doing.
Yeah, like how you doing? Like people are trying to make it sound like you don't know what's going on, like your health is an issue, like you're looking kind of crazy. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, and it's not about kicking balls in the authority or anything.
At first.
It's not like, yeah, I'm doing fantastic. It's not like kicking balls in the authority. Now, I did a video and I was like listening back. I'm like, what am I talking about with Chris Rock? It was Kid Rock. I'm like, oh man, I'm doing a Fetterman, but I'm not running for Senate. Like that's not, and I don't, this is multiple stuff. You're not debating, you're hiding from the public. I need to get you some sweaters because he's wearing that. He's worn the same sweater for like, I'm just joking. He's worn the same sweater for like 3 months straight to cover up that his neck has its own neck and he can't speak. He's like, the Eagles are better than the Eagles. And that was probably the strongest one. I disagreed with Jen and Peter on. I didn't want to get too sidetracked into that because I don't think they had actually seen some of these. We're in these echo chambers where you might not see these things. I might not see things they see because we just consume different media. So there's people out there like that. And so you have people out there like that. They're going to look at it. They're going to say, I'm not voting Democrat, but I can't say it because obviously now I'm a fascist or whatever the term is of the day. So, but when I go in that voting booth, they still feel confident the vote's just going to be there. No one else is there. And they're going to go MAGA, MAGA. In that case, there's no MAGA, but they might go Oz in that case. If Oz loses to that Neanderthal, there will be hell to pay, at least from a joke standpoint. It will never stop. If Dr. Oz loses a race to that clown right now. And I want him to be healthy. I don't mean to make fun of a health situation, but we have to I didn't just seek some random dude who had a stroke to make fun of. He is running for Senate. I did not force him to do that. That's his decision. If he dropped out right now, I would be like, go get your health right, bro. No beef with you. But he's not doing that. So you will have to get clowned. You will have to get exposed. You will have to expose. You will have to explain yourself. There's a video that went viral. Somebody walked up on Katie Hobbs, the gubernatorial Democratic candidate going up against Carrie Lake, and asked her, why won't you debate Carrie Lake? I bring that up because, Katie, you are a public servant. You are in the public. That is a fair question. And she said, no, I'm not going to answer. Okay, that's fine. But it's a fair question. And I think if you are a public servant, you need to have a better answer than that. You can say, hey, let me have someone from my office reach out to you. I'm just in line trying to get a coffee. If you don't mind, right now is not a good time. That's a much better answer to me than just to say, no, I'm not going to talk to you. So Fetterman, you get to get this heat. Katie Hobbs, you get to get whatever questions at heat. That applies to MAGA as well. But see, the difference is MAGA and Marjorie Taylor Greene has done that. They answer questions from the public, even people who disagree, and a lot of times they destroy them. So back to Meloni. They're trying to scare people back into the establishment. They have no other talking points here. And I'm not sold on it. They're just using her as that. So Meloni is pro-Ukraine. She's pro money to Ukraine. She's pro-war. She's pro-World War III. What kind of fascist is that? How are we calling her a fascist? The prime minister, the Italian prime minister from 2014 to 2016, Matteo Renzi, was on CNN. He's a leftist. So he's on CNN. I wouldn't be surprised if CNN is like, we know what he's going to say, basically. I wouldn't be surprised if CNN's like, okay, we have an idea that he's going to play the game or whatever with us. So he's on there, and he didn't seem to have those same qualms or problems as American media.
But personally, frankly speaking, I was against Giorgia Meloni. So I'm not the best friend, and we grew up together in politics, but we are, and will be rival always. At the same time, I think that is not a danger for Italian democracy. She's my rival, I'm rival. We will continue to fight each other, but the ideas are now there is a risk of fascism in Italy is absolutely a fake news. She won election, particularly because populism a lot of times won in Italy. But
so notice what he said there. He's like, well, basically, this is fake news. There's no fascism here. He used the word populism. So what they are doing in the media, I talked about this with Trump and MAGA. What they're trying to do is say, no, it's not populism. It's not even MAGA. It's Trumpism. So what they're doing with her, they can't call it Trumpism. They're calling it fascism. Why? Because they don't want to call it populism. Populism doesn't have a negative stigma to it. That's why you're like, wait, why are they using these words? It's all a chess game. So yeah, and Metalopoli says, I agree with you. She says what I want to hear, but better wait to see what she does in power. And, I really don't care too much about Italy and their power. I think I don't know. I just have a feeling that she's a globalist. She's also a part of the Aspen Institute. So the Aspen Institute is this, this think tank thing that's got involvement with people like Billy G, Anti-Friend of Soul Show, Billy G Foundation, Carnegie Corporation, Rockefeller Brothers Fund. Like that is like an establishment think tank. So maybe, and I'm not saying that is proof that she's not a true populist, but it does give me hesitancy. It does give me cause to pause. I'm not seeing the same thing. So on the other side of it, the biggest thing that people are using on her to call her fascist, this is the only substantive thing that people are using, and it's not the right term to use, fascist. It's just right wing, but her stance on same-sex adoption. So people are not happy with how she views same-sex adoption. So this is New York Times says that she is not for same-sex adoption is what the stance is here. So I completely disagree with that. But Italy's got to do their thing. But that is something that I disagree with people. I mean, I don't know the situation in Italy, but I know in America, we need more people to adopt for sure. And I have no problem with same-sex adoption, same-sex marriage. Obviously, I have no problem with that. People are arguing semantics with marriage or union. For me, it doesn't matter. If you want to call it a union and you give it the same treatment as a marriage, then whatever. So why not just call it a marriage? So she is right of me on that topic, but that's not fascism. It's not even close. Here's another thing. People say, well, she's like dictators of the past. And Ben Norton had a video that tried to basically say, hey, this is proof that she is kind of like descendant of, dictators of the past. And here's some of the stuff that they talked about. Ben Norton said, Giorgia Meloni's far-right party, Fratelli d'Italia, Brothers of Italy, emerged from the fascist Alleanza Nazionale, so National Alliance, which grew out of the fascist, like literally, like real fascism, founded by Mussolini. They use the same logo today. So that's not proof that she's like a true fascist. It's something to look at. But I replied to this, or I quote tweet. I might have just quote tweeted this. I don't know. Yeah, I did. So I quote tweeted this, and I said, the American Democrat Party is the party of slavery, Jim Crow, and the Triple K. Would you call every Democrat pro-slavery, pro-Jim Crow, and pro-Triple K? No. I still say that's the same party, but I'm not going to say Amy Klobuchar is a, party of, is like pro-slavery or anything like that, just because she's a descendant or she's in the same party that believe those things. I don't know Italy politics, so I don't get that in depth, because I know when people in other countries talk about our politics, there's a lot of holes they don't understand. So, but I'm just telling Ben that's not enough. I'm not saying she's not a fascist based on that, but that doesn't prove anything for me. So this came from Laverne Spicer, who said, anyone have proof? No, Ben, that's not proof. I mean, it's good information. I appreciate you on information, but he's trying to say that is proof. No. If he had said, this isn't proof, but here's some information, then you can have better conversations, but people don't really do that on Twitter. So Ben said, here's video of her openly praising famous fascist dictator here from Italy's past. Italy, Giorgia Meloni got her start leading the youth wing of a fascist party founded by veterans of this party I just showed you here. She later tried to rebrand herself, but her party still uses the same logo. So what do you mean she later tried to rebrand herself? Like, what are we talking about here? So let's look a little bit of this video here.
Giorgia a 19 ans, elle milite depuis 2 ans.
So this was when she was 19 years old, is what the video is saying. She's 19 years old, a militant since 2 years, first in school, and she joined up this group of right-wing students. She distributed leaflets and manifested against the left. Her political references are those of fascist Italy. She doesn't hide it. So I was very like, okay, what are we talking about here? She's 19, keep in mind, but I still want to hear it. So she said, I believe this fascist dictator of the past was a good politician. And so what does that mean? So she gave praise to somebody where, like, if you give them praise, you're like, ooh, okay. But what did she mean by that? She said, by which, remember, she's 19. She said, by which I mean that everything he did for Italy. That's not fascism. She didn't praise him for fascism. And we don't have that anymore in the politicians we've had for the past 50 years. And then it goes on to talk more about the alliance that she's in. I don't think there's nothing else in here that's even, it's just talking about the party she's in to make her seem fascist. There's no policy, nothing in here. Let me see what I did for the election, because I believe in it. So I already watched it. There's nothing else. It's just that she praised a dictator, horrible dictator from the past. Why? Because she said he was focused on Italy. That's not fascism, that's nationalism. So now they're trying to make nationalism evil. I have the flag in my profile that's to represent nationalism to me, love of country. I'm like, Ben, what are you talking about? That's not, I think I quote tweeted this too. I don't know if mine will come up at the top. No, but I quote tweeted this too. And I was like, that's nationalism, not fascism. So if you don't look into this stuff, you can see people try to prove it with stuff that doesn't prove anything. She was 19 years old. And even at 19, she did what specifically of the evil acts that BM did she approve of? I didn't hear it there. If you've got it, I don't care about her at all. So if you've got it, show it to me. I haven't seen it yet. But you see that to me, she is a complicated topic. If you want to, so I also said this. People can have fascistic ideas without being a fascist. I haven't even seen one from her other than maybe being a globalist, which I can't even prove. So, for example, Trump. Operation Warp Speed, in my opinion, was fascistic, meaning it's government partnering with big business to control. So government partnered with big business made the product, government tried to force the product. Now, Trump was in a different place on that, but to me, that's still, he was the origins of fascism. I talked about, and not blaming him completely because the administrative state let him down, Fauci, Birx, Walensky, all that. But it's still fascism. Does that make Trump a fascist? No. I am for UBI and socialistic ideas. Welfare is socialism. If you agree with welfare, that's a socialistic idea. Does that make you a socialist? No. We need to have a little bit more nuance in our conversations here. And when you demonize nationalism, you are promoting globalism. There's no in between there. So if you say, nah, I don't want to be a nationalist on immigration, well, then you're a globalist on immigration. And that's what people are trying to do, is trying to push people away from. If you're a globalist, you can't really be a populist, because a globalist is for whoever the central global powers are. So that's where I'm at on her. I think it's a. Tell me what you think. Where are you on Giorgia Meloni? Did I leave anything out? I have a bunch of notes here. I was going to go deeper, but I'm just going to stop there because it's really dangerous even talking about her right now. When you demonize nationalism, you struggle to recruit in the military. Yeah. Yeah. We've got all these other kind of side effects or, fallouts from a lot of our policies. When you promote wokeism, we see that the recruiting numbers, I'm going to look to see if I don't have an article ready, but I heard that the recruiting in the military is down. Well, of course it is. Who are you trying to recruit? The message has become too slanted. So 2 days ago, this stems off of the comment from the last here. 2 days ago, several military branches, this is according to Federal News Network, several military branches poised to miss recruiting targets for fiscal 2022. Leaders across all military services warned Congress about low recruitment levels for the Air Force, Army, Navy, and Marine Corps. I wonder why. You force people to take a product that they don't believe in, and that's the military is authoritarian, so I'm not really as against that for the military, but I'm not for it for sure. It's more complicated to me. They say the military, they're supposed to be protected by the Constitution, but I don't know. That's not the way it's looked like to me. But the bottom line is, if you do that doesn't help morale. That doesn't help trust. When J6 happened, they phased out people. Remember, the National Guard was out there, and they vetted them all out. If you said anything slightly against the cabal, you were gone. They don't trust that. You're promoting too much wokeism. Nobody's going to want to serve in the military with that. and then nationalism like the last is talking about. If you're not nationalistic, then how do you rile people up for the military? And that's what you heard from Putin. I read a lot of the speech. Shout out to Fiorella Isabel for tweeting that thread. Man, that's a resource. I'm so pissed that she moved from wherever she was in the U.S. to Russia because she had to do that to do the type of journalism she wants. That was the best move. And I'm happy for her, but I'm just pissed off that our country, she should be a journalist in our country on CNN or wherever else, giving us accurate news. But Putin was doing nationalism. Why? He's recruiting people, obviously. And that's the argument where people say, well, maybe Russia did sabotage Nord Stream because he wanted to use it as a recruiting. I guess it's not a strong argument. I don't know what happened. But as you can see, we're going to miss targets here. Is that a good thing? You feel safer because of that? I don't know. I don't know the ramifications. I don't feel safer because of it. And it makes me wonder, well, Congress got warned. What are you changing? I guess the red wave coming is what's going to change it, right? Speaking of the Nord Stream, Joe Biden was asked about it, and here's what he had to say about it. It wasn't exactly a strong denial of we didn't do it, but it's just a clip.
And let me say this. It was a deliberate act of sabotage, and now the Russians are pumping out disinformation and lies. We're going to work with our allies to get to the bottom of precisely what happened. And at my direction, I've already begun to help our allies enhance the protection of this critical infrastructure. And at the appropriate moment when things calm down, we're going to be sending divers down to find out exactly what happened. We don't know that yet exactly, but we're not, just don't listen to what Putin is saying. What he's saying we know is not true.
Okay, I'm going to listen to you, bro. I'm not going to listen to none of y'all. Is this kind of like OJ, like if I did it? Like OJ, remember, it's not funny. He offed people, civil, he was guilty. I don't know if he really did do it. There's that theory that he was covering for his son. I don't know, but is it kind of like OJ when OJ was like, "I'm gonna go look for the real killers"? Is that what we doing now? I'm not saying I don't know who did what, but it kind of gives me that same OJ if I did it vibes. That's what I'm getting from it. Allegedly, I'm not. It's not exactly. Has America come out and said we didn't do it? Really, I haven't seen it. I haven't read all this stuff on it. There's so many news. I'm going to get into the Tesla bot to end on a white pill moment here. But have you heard? Let me throw out in the chat. Has anyone, Lisa, what's up? Friend of the show, Fenwick. She's got Fenwick on there now. Fenwick, what's up? Friend of the show. I don't know. Didn't it sound like it? He was kind of like, it's almost like I tell my wife to stop buying this ice cream because I don't have any discipline. So it's like the whole pint of ice cream's gone. And my wife eats like a spoon at a time because she's very disciplined. And then she's going for another spoon and there's no pint of ice cream. And she's like, damn, who ate all the ice cream? And I'm like, you know what? I'll be right on the case. I'm going to find out who ate all that ice cream. I'm going to see if it was one of our sons. Or maybe it was the dog that did it. Is that what's going on, Biden? You going to go find the real ones? Oh, it's good to see you. But I don't know what happened. But at the end of the day, we know that's an escalation. That's for sure. I just want to look to see if there's anything else before we get to the AI bot. The AI bot is exciting. Let's just go to the AI bot. Tesla had an AI day, and it's really Tesla's AI day. I haven't talked about Tesla in a minute. Got to get more Tesla talk on. That's my fault. But looking at the AI, the Tesla bot has a name. It's Optimus. So I'll probably do the thing where we do the sound in and out since all these songs get copywritten. because I don't know where they're right at and I don't have the rights to them. But this is it. It's more you just want to see it. They unveiled their newest version of a robot. And here it is. If you're just listening, it's scary as hell. I'm not going to lie. It looks like the Terminator, like if it was built by like a 2-year-old, but still kind of looks like the Terminator. It's kind of walking like Joe Biden. If you're just listening, it's probably a little bit more sturdier than Joe Biden. It's not doing the little awkward hands, but that's not easy to do. And people, I'm going to get into the Boston Dynamics thing in a second, because Boston Dynamics has these crazy robots. So let me get into that in a second. If you're watching this, you're able to see the robot waving and turning and twisting its body. It looks rough. There's no covering on it. There's a lot of wires. This is the future, y'all. I'm pumped for it. You know I'm for, this isn't transhumanism yet. And I say yet because you will eventually be able to, in my opinion, I don't know when, you will be able to download your, this is just my opinion, you'll be able to download your consciousness into these type of beings, really into anything. You'll be able to download your consciousness into a pig, into a cow. In theory, you could download your consciousness into a bird. This could be a crazy future if I'm right. But here's the robot. Now, before y'all turn on me, the Tesla 2000, I'm looking at the chat right now. So before you're like, this is spooky, imagine you had a robot and you'd be like, this is Optimus is what they call it. Well, imagine you'd be like, Optimus, go take out the trash for me real quick. You know what? See, I haven't been able to play video games in quite some time. I'd love to play Madden. I don't have time. I got to read these articles and family and work. Yeah, there's that thing that pays the bills. It's not this. But imagine if you had this thing. Imagine a world with 1 million of these things running around. They're barely walking now, but they'll be able to run in a while. And you see it's taking it back. So it could deliver packages. You're going to see water plants. That's the view that it has. So it can pick up, look at this, has fingers. Can pick up a little watering spout and water the plants. Look at that. It will be able to fold laundry. It'll be able to pick up your house. Imagine you were like, Optimus, the playroom's kind of dirty. Would you you want to be nice to robots before they turn on you on Battlestar Galactica, but you could be like, man, go pick up that playroom real quick. You're not going to be telling your kids to. You're going to be telling the robot to. Pretty soon you'll be like, Optimus, wipe my ass for me. I'm not in the mood. That's how good it's going to get eventually. Right now, it's just going to drop off packages and water some plants and maybe pick up some lint or whatever. That's the first version. So Metalopoly has a great comment. I'm going to have to go address that. It's based comment by Metalopoly is like, why did Musk go from warning us against AI to trying to make brain chips and Terminator robots? He really has changed. Think they got to him after he smoked that blunt to Rogan. No, I can answer that. I'm pretty versed on Elon Musk. The reason why he warned us and still does warn us about AI. If Elon Musk doesn't do it, somebody else will. So that's why he hasn't stopped. In fact, he's gotten more passionate about it. So Metalopoly, he says, hey, AI could potentially wipe us out. More powerful than a nuke. That's what Elon says, and he's absolutely right. Obviously, look at these robots. He's purposely making the robot weak. But as we know, people can hack and they'll make robots. Imagine if that robot was strong enough to lift up a car. We're living in a DC, or we're living in a Rippaverse universe without the superheroes at that point. The robots would have to be the superheroes. Technology does not stop. So Elon Musk can't warn us about AI and then just not do AI. He's got to warn us about AI And he not only does he have to do AI, he has to beat people who might have bad intent to this product in finding a way to combat it. Eventually, people with bad intent, imagine if Russia had, we're looking at clone wars. Imagine if Russia, US had 100,000 of these things. They would already be fighting. And they wouldn't be weak. They would be able to pop off too. I guarantee you that. So that's going to happen. So Elon Musk has got to work on the technology and other people to combat. How do you combat it? The stuff that Elon Musk doesn't tell us about are probably crazier than you could even imagine. Because this robot's going to be weak. I would not be surprised if Elon Musk is like, team, let me splice this team off. You guys got to work on a robot that's stronger. And this is not in secret. It would be with the government, with the DOD or whoever, AGI, whatever department in the government, and the engineering department or whoever. And he would be like, okay, if somebody builds a robot that's strong or does this, then I can come out. I mean, it's just like RoboCop. We're looking at Iron Man stuff without it being a suit. So hopefully that answered that. You got to beat them to it. You can't stop them. So he hasn't changed. And Elon Musk's goal is to get to Mars. That's his number one goal. There is nothing else, nothing stronger than that. Even his goal of living forever. That's just my opinion. He, Jeff Bezos, all of them, they have this fantasy of being able to live forever. And Elon Musk wants to eventually be able to download his consciousness into a more advanced version of that, and he would be able to be on Mars. You wouldn't need oxygen. Your brain would be there. You got the skin. If your robot skin gets damaged, you upload it to another. You could have duplicates of yourself on Earth too. I mean, it's crazy what could happen. But that's where they're going with it. So let's look. The last says, imagine when the robots are arresting you for protesting them. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get away from that Terminator at that point. They're not always going to be weak and slow. China has been working on, good example. China's been working on AI for years. Not to worry, though. I'm sure they're doing it ethically. Yeah, good point. So that's another point. You can't stop China from working on it. So you've got to work on your own to combat, just like nukes. You can say, I don't want nukes, but if you don't have nukes, like Ukraine, you're in a messed up position. You're going to need NATO. If you didn't have NATO, Ukraine would have already bent that knee. Same like if you don't have these robots, you're going to bend the knee. China's ahead on the robots, but so let me get into the Boston Dynamics part of this. Because a lot of people were saying, well, I mean, because what the Tesla bot did there is impressive. But if you've seen the Boston Dynamic robots, they've been doing like way more impressive stuff than that. So why would I say Tesla is way ahead of them? Well, and this is a video that I played way back on the channel. You've probably seen these. These have gone 100 million views all over different platforms. But you've seen this is a Boston Dynamics machine. So you saw the Tesla bot could barely do anything. Boston Dynamics got the dog. This, if you're just listening, it's a robot doing handstands, tuck rolls. This is from a couple of years ago, I think. And this is old. They could probably do way more now. Doing splits, basically doing gymnastics. Now, the robot is bulkier, but what it's doing is far more impressive, and it kind of looks the same. So why do I say Tesla's way better? Boston Dynamics can't make those things to scale. Their robots cost anywhere from $40,000 to $100,000, depending on which ones you want. I think that one is $80,000, $75,000 to $80,000. And they can't make them to mass. Tesla's goal is just like the car. So Lucid is an electric, all these other cars, all these other electric car companies are making electric cars. Some of them are okay, but can they make millions of them? Tesla's designing it within the boundaries of, can we make this and mass produce it on an assembly line? So when we sell it, it's only 20,000 instead of 80,000. So we want it in every household. Basically, instead of a car, you get it, or that type of thing. That's not happening with Boston Dynamics. It won't happen with them. They don't have that capability. You might sell it to a country to waste, we print money and waste money to use it for nefarious purposes, but they can't do it to get it in the hands of people. Why is it a white pill for you? I touched on it. Would you want a robot to be folding your clothes and doing your chores? I got to clean the bathrooms this weekend. And it's annoying. It's like it takes some time. If you're going to do it right, it really takes some time. Probably just rush through it just to get it done. But you could have Optimus. I'd be like, Optimus, go clean the bathrooms. Have the bathroom clean every day. Who wouldn't want that? This thing of mowing the lawn, trimming the hedges, pulling the bushes out. I mean, what chores do you want to do? Re-roofing. I mean, the robot is so good. Well, not yet, but it has that potential where what you could have is a society, wait for this, a society where you don't have to do anything but sit on your ass all day. Does that sound appealing to you? I'm good with that. Sit on your ass, be a philosopher. The robots are going to be doing all the work. The robots are going to be the Amazon drivers, delivery people. You can play sports all day. There would be no excuse not to be as buff and cut as possible. At that point, there would be a universal basic income because nobody would be working. And now there would be some jobs like financial stuff and all that. But I mean, that's where you're heading 3 generations from now or whatever. Metalopoly says, did you see the show Person of Interest? An AI wouldn't even need physical robots to control the world. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I have not seen the show. But AI is like a virus. I mean, it's literally a computer. It could be like a computer virus. So, it would not. It would not need to be in a physical form. It could it could travel over the internet. You can transmit data over the internet like I'm doing right now, streaming to you. So, yeah, AI could wipe it all out without even the robot part. For sure. We're all going to end up like fat people, like the fat people from WALL-E. Why when you said that is the first thing I thought about Lizzo playing that flute. And she did a respectful, I don't know what she was wearing when she was doing the concert. My wife said it was a good, I showed it to my wife and she was like, wait, what are you saying? That's a pretty dress. Like, I didn't even know what she was wearing. I didn't even know. I didn't know it was a dress. I thought it was like a see-through. I didn't know what it was. It looked like a bathing suit or something. But then she did a different one, respectfully playing the flute. And I didn't know she could play the flute. Beautiful. She actually played very beautifully. Maybe I'll show the respectful one. Because I had some discussions with people on that one. I'm trying to figure out. I said the word beautiful in the tweet, so I'll be able to find it that way. I think that was it obviously didn't go as viral as the other one. Wow, I don't see it. Oh yeah, I do have it here. So and it was from Local Distance, who have interacted with a little bit on Twitter. Dope account, man. Because I did a video off of one of his tweets. I could do videos off of every one of his threads probably. But and he kind of said thank you or whatever. But like, cool, man. Because sometimes I worry if people are like, no, I don't want you to do a video. I mean, I'll still do it. I mean, it's public, but kind of worry if people would not want me to do a video on their thread. But he was cool about it. So here's Lizzo in respectful clothing and so much better, playing the flute. That's bad. That's bad. That was dope. That was dope. Much respect. If you don't know, I am classically trained in another life. In the 90s, I played violin, viola, played in orchestra. I've heard a lot of flute players. I can't play the flute. Very difficult. The breath control, that was good. That was really impressive, especially since she doesn't. I mean, she's really a singer. Like, how much time does she dedicate? I don't know, to playing the flute. But that was beautiful. Shout out to that. But I did have questions though. Just kind of you guys kind of know how I roll. Like, I question everything. It's just the way I am. And I kind of had a question on it. And my question was kind of like, well, okay, it's beautiful, but why is she playing James Madison's flute while not believing in James Madison's vision of the foundation of our country? And what I really mean by that is, why is she getting excited about it? Why is that a special thing for her? It would be like me getting excited to play an instrument that General Mao had. I'm not getting excited about that. I mean, it's nice, it's an artifact, but I'm not going to get excited because of who had it if I don't respect the person who had it. So I just threw that question out there. And people, I think there was some fair response to it. Some people, I won't be able to, I don't know where those tweets are, but somebody replied and said, hey, how do you know she wasn't for the founding of the country? A lot of people showed their true beliefs, or maybe they got stressed out or whatever during the Summer of Love. And she said something to the effect of, I just want black people to have the same rights as everyone else. And that's all we've asked for from the beginning of the country. So she'll have to explain herself, but I think I have a right to have the opinion that she does not respect the foundation of the country. If you feel that black people do not have the same rights as I don't know who at this point. So I asked the person, like, what rights do black people not have that other people have? And they went to the, maybe black people get abused by the police more or something like that. So you can't really have how am I going to have a discussion with that if that's the method that you're going to use for rights? Because they know there are no rights that are separate from black people at this point. Lizzo playing flute, cool. Lizzo playing historical flute while twerking, yeah, that wasn't the deal. Now, she's a performer. You want to perform and get people riled up and excited, and I think she got caught up in that. And I think the twerking is an insecurity to whatever, it could be the weight or whatever the case may be. But I think the twerking is insecurity to cover up for the insecurity for other things. But I still love, it was a great moment still to me, her playing the flute respectfully there. So that's what I had for today. I'm trying to think what else is on the mind here. Oh, I do have something for we got a new channel I'm doing with Ray Studios. It's going to be non-political. And this dude is a badass here. I don't know how you do this in a mascot suit. I'm going to do this and I'm going to be out. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Got the website. If you just are showing up, I should have pinned it in the chat. Let me pin it in the chat. I got the website up. So I do have a ton of different channels, and it's just too many to always shout out. So middlemaga.com. We'll look at that after this here. BYU's mascot is a badass. This is ridiculous. What could be ridiculous here about a BYU mascot? So if you're just listening, this dude is on a prone position, basically doing a push-up on the ground. And on either side of on him, on the left and the right, are tables stacked up. These are like the picnic type tables that fold up, and they're pretty tall. So he's in a prone push-up position in a mascot shoot. And look at this. What the? So he pushes up off himself like a jump from a push-up position. And he jumps high enough to extend his feet and arms to hold himself on the next level. There's 3 tables stacked on top of each other on either side. So he's jumping up off of all fours. I didn't even know someone could do this. And he does it again off of the tables. Then he's going to do it one more time. He slipped, but he could have held himself up. But he was like, no, I want to do it the right way. And then pushed up at the top. And then did and then is doing one-arm push-ups on top of this, man. So there has to be some type of gymnast, man. Gymnasts, I don't know if it is or not, but he looks like he's or she, I don't even know if it's a he or she. They have that gymnast type strength. Incredible. Looks like Eddie Sanchez, you seen them do that? Oh, The Last said they seen those videos. That was crazy. I don't know where you get the strength to do that. I've never seen that before. Because it's like you're on those tables. It's not even that sturdy. But all right. Well, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to hopefully, well, we'll see if I clip any. I always say I'm going to clip stuff up and I don't clip it up. So I'm not going to say that. But I'm going to be out. Everybody have a good weekend. I got every week now, Saturday, got the flag football. Got that going. Flag football, soccer. My youngest son's going to have to show some resolve here, and he's only 3, but hey, get in the game. A little worried about him. You got to get in the game. He didn't play soccer at all because he was just kind of scared or didn't want to do it. Now, if he doesn't want to play soccer, I'm not going to force him to play soccer, but if you've signed up, we signed you up for soccer, you're going to have to at least try. So we'll see. I'll let you know how that goes if you care about that. But this is middlemaga.com. Let's do a little bit of grifting here. The website, if YouTube is not joking around these midterms. Like YouTube is like, if these midterms go south like we think they will, they don't want to be blamed. They don't want to be like, we let little channels like, this one here and others come in and talk about Fetterman or whatever the case is and kind of, who knows, sway things, or I don't know what they're worried about, but they putting that hammer down. So go to middlemaga.com. It's pinned in the chat now, and just scroll down and just sign up for your email just so we can be in touch. If you get that band hammer, if I do a Rumble only video, you'll know. I've got like 9 channels, so let's just go to the website and I'll put them all. Like if you look at it, you'll see the top, 3 of these are different channels. Like I don't know, people might not know. I have a Tim Pool reaction type channel where I did a reaction to the song "Only Ever Wanted." The song's dope, man. I've played it before on here, but I did that, and you'll see these other channels I do. I have a couple lefty type channels. I have a critical theory type channel, and it'll just be one place to go see them. And then I got the new one with Ray coming out, so it'll be one place to see them all. I got to do some more uploads though on the Tim Pool one, and I think I'm going to do. He had some really good points in the last 2 episodes. He always has good points, but Luke and company, they had some really good analogies and points and breakdowns on things I would want to listen to. So this is the Only Ever Wanted. Not really my type. This is not a song I tip, but yeah,
I like that. You had to give Pete that little cameo. He got canceled from Offspring and Tim. That's the beauty of creating. You know, I listened to Eric July, and he was debating some dude who was kind of saying, "Hey, you don't have Carano." So that was I did a reaction to that. So yeah, check out the website. Let me know what you think about it. You know what I really want to make the website like? At first, I wanted to make it like, and you know, I want to do my own thing. Don't get me wrong, but I want to look and see what other people are doing and then kind of tweak it type of thing. And at first, I wanted it to be like the Quartering. I like the Quartering's website. And one of the good things about the Quartering's website, great show, shout out to Jeremy, is that I like how he has these links to all the different social media, right? That's really good because he's up on a lot of them. And he's one of the best marketers out there. See, he has his email up there. I got to put it up there too. You shouldn't have to scroll to get it. All those little things, it takes time to, and I don't know how to design it myself, but I like that website. But I think I really like Alex Jones's website. I really like band.video. I like the design of the website. I wonder if you can even, Alex Jones got me in trouble last time, even kind of talking about him, but I like this website here, how you see how the thumbnails are big and you cycle through it. He's got a banner for advertising up there. You can, especially if it's an area you're not strong in, man, you look for the best, and this dude, one of the best marketers out there. So I like that. It's really slick, and I haven't gotten the book yet. Anybody got the book, The Great Reset? Haven't gotten that yet. Probably get an audio version. Oh no, I don't even know if I can talk about this one. I did put it in the community tab about this Canadian actress. I don't even remember her name. She half of her face got paralyzed. So I don't know what caused it, but I like his website a lot. You click on the video, then it goes to another page.
It's finally back in stock. X3.
Then the video plays, and then he's got the ads. It's clean. It's very, very clean. He's got one of the best websites out there. It's really good. So I'm gonna be out now. Let me see. Anybody got the book? Well, let me not say the name. After this segment, we'll look out for you on Rumble. Yep, I'll be on Rumble, and I gotta do the website where you can easily get to my Rumble page and all that. So I gotta talk to the person doing the website on how to. I'm gonna have to do some tweaking to it. So this is the first version. I was just like, I told them, like, just go live. We can't wait till it's perfect. It will have the videos up there. That's the big thing. And then the email. There's other stuff in there. I got an about section. It's just a real small little thing. I just talked about, hey, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, whatever. It says about us, but it's just me on the website. But yeah, you got a little about section. I should put a picture of myself in there, but I already got pictures everywhere. And then a blog. I'm gonna hook up. I just did this as a test, but I'm gonna start doing some. What's the website? It's called the Substack. I start doing Substacks and then just link them here. So I got them here, and we'll see what works, what doesn't work. Oh, he put the shop in. Okay, he got the shop in. Okay, I asked him if I could link my creator shop. Yeah, he got the shop in. So it opens up in a new tab, but if you want to know where the gear is at, I do have a shop tab, which I didn't even realize until now. If you want to know what gear is out there. I'm going to have to, the Ultra MAGA one didn't come out as well. I'm going to have to take that one out. I actually like the Cool MAGA a lot.
I think I might do the cool MAGA and make it look like a Bill Cosby sweater with all the little stuff there. And then, wait, where's the... Oh, no. Did they take down my... Oh, man. I think they took down the MAGA communist one. Wow. So they let MAGA go, but not communists? I think they took down the new gear. Let me double check. I'm going to use the link that it should have popped up on that page. Let me see. Oh, please don't tell me they took that down. Oh, wow. So it's not, I shouldn't be surprised. Wow. They took down the MAGA. Look at that. I literally just put up a MAGA communism shirt. Wow. So I have this shirt here. You know, I could do it on a sweater too. Literally just did this today. And the link, so I click on the link and so MAGA's okay, but communism's not. So I don't know. Does anybody know like a third part? I'll have to do that research with it. I have to do a third party shirt company. That's crazy. What? It's kind of funny that MAGA's okay and communism's not. Wow. They banned the MAGA communism, sir. I'm gonna have to contact somebody. What term does that break? Wow. They took down the MAGA communism shirt. They let all the MAGA stuff go. I got super MAGA, I got major MAGA, I got cool MAGA, I got ultra MAGA, I got pure MAGA. Damn. There, I got dark MAGA. Damn. They took down the MAGA communism shirt. Wow. That's cold. That's cold-blooded, man. People out here are not playing. I really would like to know why that was taken down. Is that... Wow. I thought they would be all for it, to be honest with you. To be honest with you, I thought they would have took down the MAGA before the communism. Or is it, I wonder if it's the MAGA and the communism. When things get censored, your head just goes to like what happened is probably just an algorithm or something. But it would be interesting if just a regular communism shirt was okay. And then it's like, we don't want MAGA and communism. We don't want that stuff on here because you're trying to bring two sides together. Probably not, but damn, I got to holler at Luke Lukowski. He's the shirt man. That's crazy. Well, okay. I gotta figure it out. So I was going to order one for myself, but I guess that's not, well, at least through Spring Tea, that's not going to happen. So I got to get off Spring Tea as soon as possible because I think if they're going to censor a shirt, they'll probably just censor the whole thing. So you need parallel economies. You need your own dating app. You need everything. I'm out. 1218 Mountain. Had a good time. Thanks all for stopping by. Peace.